Lexus is changing fast with 20 all-new and refreshed models by 2025. The new era of Lexus begins with the redesigned 2022 NX. I was lucky enough to see the 2022 NX behind closed doors in Plano, Texas, and I'm excited to share the all-new NX with you guys today. This is the biggest leap for Lexus probably since the 1989 LS 400, the original Lexus vehicle. Make sure you have your snacks and drinks ready. We have so much to go through. We're gonna touch on the highlights first, and then we'll get to the spreadsheet and get into the real nitty-gritty of all this. So there are 4 new powertrains for the NX. We have a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter, we have a turbo 2.4 liter, we have a hybrid 2.5 liter, and we have a plug-in hybrid 2.5 liter. That's a lot of 4 cylinders in there, but you have your pick between cheap to expensive to fuel efficient to powerful, and all the it's amazing. We'll get more into the details in a little bit. Next highlight, gone is the remote touchpad. We now have a fully ground up design built for Lexus. This is called the Lexus interface. They just took out the remote touch. It used to be a Lexus remote touch interface. Now we just have Lexus interface. Has an optional 14-inch touchscreen, over-the-air updates, cloud-based. It's phenomenal. We have improved styling. We have new colors. There's a Lexus badge that's in the front. The Lexus badge in the back has been removed for an all new like design cue where they just type out the word Lexus, and it's actually different from the traditional Lexus writing that's associated with the brand. So it's an all new font. It's actually the font taken, you know, like on the bottom right corner of the NX, it'll say like 350H. So it's actually that font that they spaced out in place of the Lexus badge on the rear. A new F Sport model. We have the dynamic handling package. You have your choice with different 20-inch wheels. Yeah, 20-inch wheels on an NX, guys. Previously, it was hard to get anything bigger than 18-inch wheels on the NX. There's more cargo with dedicated underfloor storage in the back. This is the first Lexus vehicle that has a Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0 and a ton of new safety features that we're going to go over today. We finally have customizable ambient lighting with a digital key. So you don't need your key anymore. It's tied to your phone. We'll talk more about that as well. Availability begins Q4 of this year, 2021. Highlights are over, and I wanted to share this as well. Lexus invited me to a 90-minute Q&A session with the developers from Japan. I was lucky enough actually to get a few questions in. We'll definitely go over that, but it's time for the spreadsheet. And you guys know, I mean, I'm going to start with powertrains. That's where I get most excited for typically on new vehicles. And yes, we have a lot of other topics to cover, a lot of other things about the vehicle we will go in detail, but we need to start with the powertrains. We have 4 of them, just like I thought we would. We have a base 250. You'll be able to get it in front wheel drive or all wheel drive, 203 horsepower, 184 pound-feet torque. New 8-speed auto. This new 8-speed, I would assume, is very similar to the 8 speeds we have, let's say, in the RAV4, but it has been beefed up, especially for this turbo engine that it connects to with an all-new all-wheel drive system. We'll get more into the turbo in a second. So 203 horsepower, very modest. I see this NX 250 as being a great way for people to get their feet wet into the brand. And this is going to be produced here in America eventually. So this NX 250 is going to be very, very affordable, and they're going to sell these things like hotcakes. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like mid 30s. Again, we don't have pricing. We don't have packaging exactly yet, but we have essentially everything else. But the NX 250, I'm going to say, is around 35K. That's just my guess. And that's just base. Of course, you can gussy it up, but I don't think they're going to offer a whole lot of options with the 250. Best way to get your feet wet with this all new NX for a low monthly payment, whether you're financing or doing your lease payment. 28 miles per gallon is my guess. We don't have fuel economy exactly with the gasoline only engines. 0 to 60, they actually gave us 0 to 60 numbers on all the powertrains. 8.2 seconds for the 250 front wheel drive. All wheel drive will be a little bit slower. The NX 350 brings a 2.4 liter turbo. First time we've ever seen this engine in a Toyota or Lexus product, and it's not going to be the last time. This thing will probably end up replacing a lot of the V6s in the lineups from Toyota and Lexus. It has 275 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. I was expecting maybe a little bit more horsepower, but to be honest, it's still pretty good. It's definitely 40 horsepower more than the outgoing one, so I'm not going to complain. It's also way more torquey. The outgoing model have 258 pound-feet of torque with the 2-liter turbo, so 317 is a welcome addition. Miles per gallon, taking a stab, low to mid 20s, 24 miles per gallon. 0 to 60, 6.8 seconds. This is a half second faster than the old 0 to 60 of the NX 2.0 turbo. We have an all-new all-wheel drive system developed for this setup. I'm excited for it. I haven't driven it. Definitely stay tuned for the channel because I'll drive all these models for you guys in the coming months, weeks, who knows, maybe years with the 250. I'm not exactly excited to get my hands on the 250. Hybrid, thank God we're finally getting an updated hybrid. The NX 300, when I was selling Lexus vehicles as a salesman back in the day, especially when the RAV4 came out in 2019 with an upgraded hybrid, it was essentially a big dud. It was slower than the RAV4. It had less power. It had far less fuel economy as well compared to the RAV4 hybrid. It was just a complete dud. Now they've completely redesigned it, and it's actually better than the RAV4's hybrid. So you might be asking, how is that possible? It has 20 more horsepower, and they're getting that 20 more horsepower. This is one of the questions I asked those Lexus engineers and designers from Japan. I'm like, why does this have 239 horsepower where the RAV4 has 219 horsepower and let's say the Highlander hybrid has 245 horsepower? They're like, well, we graded this on premium fuel, and we gave it a different electric motor up front. It's actually the electric motor seen in the RX hybrid, so it has a little bit more power and torque compared to the RAV4 hybrid. So thank you, Lexus, for listening, and the fact that I don't want carryovers from the Toyota lineup. A couple is okay, like this 250 here, base payment, I'm fine with that. The plug-in is the same as the RAV4, which I'm okay with as well, but we'll get into more details on that in a second. But I'm just so happy that these two, the bread and butter, these two, the NX 350 Turbo and the 350h Hybrid, guys, these are going to be your volume sellers. This is going to be super important for them, so I'm glad that they differentiated these volume sellers away from the RAV4 massively, especially with the turbo, but they gave us a little bit more power. We're getting 36 miles per gallon. Lexus has confirmed it. Now, it's not 100% set in stone because these values can change, but 0 to 60 is 7.2 seconds, which is right on par with the RAV4 hybrid. So they made it as fast, gave it a little bit more horsepower. It's gonna be way more quiet. It's going to be so much better than the RAV4. Same battery pack as the RAV4 hybrid, I'm assuming. They actually couldn't confirm that, but guys, it's going to be the exact same as it is in the RAV4. Now, some details with the NX hybrid. It's a second and a half faster to 60 miles per hour compared to the outgoing NX 300h. That vehicle is a complete dud later on in its life cycle. It's up 20% in power compared to the old NX hybrid, up 6 miles per gallon. And like I said, the electric motor paired with the gasoline engine up front is from the RX hybrid, and the horsepower is taken from premium fuel being added into the gas tank. All-wheel drive is standard. I couldn't find anywhere in the press release. I would assume that since the Venza is all-wheel drive standard as well as like the Sienna, I don't see a situation where this vehicle would not have all-wheel drive, even though the outgoing NX, I believe, had the ability to be front-wheel drive in the hybrid trim. I don't think that's going to be the case with this NX 350h. It's going to be all-wheel drive standard. Now, for the range topping, for now, the range topping NX 450h Plus. This is the RAV4 Prime's powertrain slotted into the NX. I was hoping they would do something with the power output, maybe give the rear wheels more torque, because it is a very front wheel drive burnout machine in the RAV4 Prime anyways. And this vehicle has the same 302 horsepower. It's going to have less range. You got to keep in mind this is a much heavier vehicle than the RAV4 Prime. It's going to have a lot more sound deadening material, a lot more luxurious interior. It's going to be a better vehicle overall, but your fuel economy is going to suffer. I'm expecting 34 miles per gallon and 36 miles of range, where the RAV4, I think the EPA estimate is around 42 miles of range. And depending on the time of year, like when I was in Nebraska testing the RAV4 Prime, I was driving in pure grandpa mode and I was just squeezing out 40 miles of range. But Sophia Bay, who owns, who's Redline Reviews, he owns a RAV4 Prime. He says when the weather's right, he's getting around 50 miles of range. Now, keep in mind, this 36 miles of range is not set in stone. The engineers from Japan said, you know, this is an estimate at this point in time. It can go up as we get closer to launch as we continue to test this. So 36 miles of range is on the conservative side. And here are the charging rates if you're interested in the charging rates. And we need to get into the technology. So guys, see down in the comments about powertrains. We're going to get into the technology side of things right now, because this, even though the powertrains are a big leap, the technology is just as big of a leap, if not bigger, for the Lexus brand. All right, so there's a bunch of features here. Let's just start with the Lexus interface. You get a 9.8-inch touchscreen standard. The 14-inch touchscreen is optional. Everything is state-of-the-art in terms of technology. Wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto standard. It's cloud-based, and Lexus has worked with Google for points of interest. So if you tell your Lexus assistant, your virtual assistant, you have essentially your own Siri or Alexa in this vehicle now, but it's a Lexus version of it. You can say, Lexus, take me to the nearest Starbucks, and you don't have to run through your wireless CarPlay and Android Auto to do that, because the cloud-based navigation works with Google's point of interest to take you there. And the system is very snappy. It's very, I didn't get my hands on it. I don't know if anyone got their hands on it. They did show a real scenario demo of one of the designers, the software engineers, playing with the system. So we did see a real world usage of this, but in terms of me playing with it, I haven't got my chance. Definitely stay tuned for that. But this thing is going to be the game changer for the interior of the vehicle. Now, there's just so much stuff here. We have a smart key, and you have up to 7 smart keys for the vehicle that you can share with your family members and friends. And it is all tied to individual settings. So down here at the bottom, there are user profiles tied to the digital keys. So it'll remember your radio stations, your seating positions, climate control, driving preferences, etc. It's quite thorough. We finally have an optional heads-up display. We finally have an optional panoramic sunroof, and I have asterisks here because if you want the F-Sport NX 450h plug-in hybrid, that does not come with the Pano sunroof. However, I do believe that there's also a luxury version, so it'll be NX 450h plus non-F Sport that will have the Pano sunroof on it. So yeah, you if you really want the Pano sunroof, you have to go with the luxury variant instead of the F Sport package on the plug-in hybrid. But I believe the NX 350h and NX 350, it'll be very easy to get the Pano sunroof in there. Maybe not the NX 250. Lexus will probably just say, we're not going to build it like that for you. We finally have wireless charging optional. We have standard heated front seats, and we have optional available rear heated seats. Also, you have power folding seats in the NX. Some of these things have been available across the world, like heads-up display, Pano sunroof, heated rear seats, maybe power folding seats. They have been available across the rest of the world. Now you're going to see them available here in the United States. So it's really, really good to see. We're finally getting a digital mirror. We have the digital mirror in the LS, but it definitely debuted way back with the RAV4 in 2019. So it's finally good to have that. We have more cargo space. You lift up the rear cargo tray floor. Does that make sense? And then there is cubbies in there. 64 color LED for your ambient lighting, and they give you 14 ambient lighting themes. So yep, it's up to date there. And then self-parking you can do with your phone. There's also a button in the vehicle to help with self-parking, which I'm not a big self-parking person. I want to do it myself. Does that make sense? I don't want the car to self-park. I want the human to self-park. So I'm not a big fan of that. But you have it for people who don't feel as confident out there, I guess. Now, every new Lexus is getting the new Lexus driving signature. It started with the redesign. It's like a heavily refreshed IS. I'm not going to get into that too much, but it started with the 2021 IS, and the Lexus driving signature is going to affect, of course, this NX and every other Lexus going forward. Based out of the Shimoyama track course, which is the new headquarters for Lexus in Japan. They're designing these vehicles around a racetrack that they built. So that's badass. Anyways, lower center of gravity. This new vehicle, based on the TNGA-K platform, it's more rigid. The F-Sport model will have dynamic handling package with adaptive variable suspension, very similar to how we see it in the IS F-Sport. Has all new, this is all new for Lexus, by the way, laser peening, welding, and high rigidity foam. I'm not too much on the manufacturing end of things, but that sounds pretty badass. The F-Sport gets 20-inch black glossy wheels. They look really sick. And then the higher end packages of the 350 and the 350H are going to have 20-inch wheels as well. And what I think is cool, this is the first ever twin hood lock for Lexus. It's always been a single lock or latch. You know, when you pop the hood, there's always just one latch in the middle. Well, now there's two. I didn't get the chance to look too much under the hood of the NX. I wasn't looking exactly at the twin hood lock, but I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a really, really good thing going forward, and also helps with stability, safety, rigidity, handling, etc. Okay, safety. Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0. First time we've ever seen it. Blind spot monitor standard. Thank you, gods of Mount Fuji. Safe exit assist. This thing is a little scary, but it's pretty cool. Lexus actually showed us inside. We were inside. One of the employees, one of the engineers actually riding a bike by the NX. The NX will not allow you to open the door if it senses a bicycle or a car close enough to the vehicle where it would take off the door and potentially hurt someone. So you can't open the door with this safety exit assist. So that's a good safety feature, and it works on all four doors. Now, Lexus Safety System Plus just builds on 2.5 and 2.0, but it gives it an emergency steering assist, left turn vehicle detection, and emergency stopping in that situation, right turn pedestrian detection, oncoming vehicle detection time tied with the emergency stopping, and then you have dynamic radar cruise control with curve speed management. And there's one thing I missed, digital latch, which goes a little bit with the safe exit assist. You can't have one with, well, you can't have the safe exit assist without this digital latch. So digital latch, the door handles don't actually move. So you have door handles on there, you put your hand in, and there's a little button on the inside, and the door opens itself or unlatches itself digitally. So you might be thinking, Kirk, well, what if the battery's dead? Well, there's a little lever on the bottom of the handle that you push in, and it actually mechanically opens the doors. And vice versa, when you're on the inside, the handle, when you put your hand in like the door handle to close the door, well, they actually have a button inside that little door handle now that opens the door digitally, electronically as well. To override that, you have a mechanical latch. You just pull twice on it to open the door. So you have essentially your option, but the digital one just makes getting in the car a lot easier, a lot more straightforward and simple. But because of that digital latch, the Lexus is able to give you this safe exit assist. You know what I'm talking about, where you can't open the door and wipe someone out on a motorcycle or bicycle, or get your car door ripped off by a car coming. Okay, paint colors. What's new? Well, Cloudburst Gray is a new color. Redline's a new color for the NX. It's like my least favorite Lexus color. I'm not going to lie. It's just a glossy red. We see it on the UX, and it's just a glossy red. Don't like it, but it's a cheap color, so maybe we'll see a lot on the 250. Grecian Water is an all new color. It looks pretty good. It's kind of a lighter blue, kind of like a powder blue. I think it's really pretty. Ultrasonic Blue Mica 2.0, that's going to be F-Sport exclusive, as well as Obsidian. Obsidian is just a glossy black, and we also have Ultra White. We also have the standard Eminent White Pearl, and we have Atomic Silver reprising its role. It got canceled in the 2020 ES, which is the dumbest thing ever. I'm not happy about that at all. But Atomic Silver, at least it's coming back for the new NX. And I don't think these are all the colors. I actually think there could be more. And no, we're not going to get like a reprised roll of Autumn Shimmer or something ugly and puke-tastic like that. but I do think that there are more colors coming. And for example, like cadmium orange, like that was a color added late into the last generation NX's lifespan, as well as nori green. I think this vehicle could get nori green. I don't know if it's available right now on the NX, but I wouldn't be surprised if they add it. Interior colors, black, go figure. Black with rich cream. Palomino. Palomino is kind of like, it almost looks like this color. I would say it's kind of like a peanut butter-ish color. So it's replacing, I would say, the caramel interior that was on the outgoing NX, which I really liked that caramel interior color, but looks like that's gone. And then we also have Rioja red, which we've seen before in many Lexus vehicles. Now the F Sport colors are probably going to be circuit red, which is a brighter red than this Rioja red. And then you're probably going to have a white, eventually some sort of white accented with black, like we saw on the 2019 NX Blackline series. It had a white and black interior. That was pretty badass. So I'm expecting a white and black interior, a bright red interior, as well as a fully black interior for the F Sport models. Ornamentation. You have stippled black. You have on the base model, so you'll see that on the 250s more than likely. You have black open pore wood. You have black prism, which is pretty cool. I think it's like this little geometric pattern I think it's just cool looking. I don't know what else to say about it. And then dark graphite aluminum is only for the F Sports. Now, as we come to the end of this video, I've talked a lot about this, and I'm sure you guys are going to have millions of questions, but there are some things I wanted to express my concern and just final comments as well as we wrap up the video today. The outgoing F Sports seats were very, very tight. I'm not that big of a guy. Yes, I'm 6'1", but I'm like, I have a lot of Scandinavian and Northern European blood on me. That means I'm pretty narrow. Even for me, the F Sport seats are very, very tight. So whether it's the bolstering around the rib cage or your hips and legs, the F Sport seats in the outgoing NX were very tight. So hopefully they make those a little bit larger for normal sized people. Okay, NX 450h availability. Who knows, guys? Like the RAV4 Prime is already very, very hard to get your hands on, and it's very expensive. And if the RAV4 Prime costs nearly $50K in its XSE trim with all the options, what is this NX 450h Plus going to cost in the F Sport trim or the luxury trim? I just don't know. My guess is that it's probably going to start at the upper to low 50s and probably top out around 60K for this NX 450h Plus. Pricing, I don't have a box written in here, but pricing for the NX 350 is probably going to be very similar to the current NX 350, probably around 40K is where it'll start. And same thing with this NX 350h. I'm expecting those to start around 40K. Most of them you'll see around 45K with, if you want all the bells and whistles, probably topping out around 50K, where the plug-in hybrid is probably going to top out around 60K. Again, definitely stay tuned to the channel as we'll get more details on packaging and pricing. F Sport performance. The vehicle is going to drive and handle a million times better than the outgoing NX. There's no questions about that. But F Sport performance is a new trim created by Lexus that starts with the IS 500 F Sport performance this fall. Lexus has said that many more F Sport performance models are coming, but that's all they're saying. Are we going to get an F Sport performance model of any of these? Maybe. I think there's two likely scenarios here. I think this is a very conservative tune of the NX 350. I think this engine is capable of easily handling a lot more power. If you look at, like, let's say the GR Yaris, the 3-cylinder turbocharged engine in there produces like 268 horsepower. So nearly the same amount of horsepower, and it's only 1.6 liters. This engine, being that it's much bigger in displacement, naturally is going to have a lot more torque than that. But still, this engine is definitely capable of probably 100 more horsepower reliably. That's just my take on it. So I think that's one option for F Sport performance, is just they add more boost to this 2.4 liter turbo. The next option here is giving us some more electrified beans on this NX 450h Plus. So where is Direct 4? And how does this tie into a gussied up 450h Plus, or probably be called 550h Plus? Direct 4 was teased in December, and Direct 4 is a big part of Lexus going forward. However, Direct 4 can only be in a hybrid or fully electric vehicle. And when I asked the engineers and creators of this vehicle from Japan about this NX 450h Plus, I'm like, hey, is this have Direct 4 technology? Because this is literally the same thing as the RAV4 Prime setup. And they're like, no vehicles at launch on the NX have Direct 4 technology. That's coming for future products down the road. So I think that really opened up the possibility of a Direct 4 plug-in hybrid coming for the NX, probably called the NX 550h Plus. And if we have 302 horsepower here, I would say give it 400 horsepower and give it way more power to the rear wheels. Give us all that torque, that fat torque that we want on the rear wheels to make it not a front wheel drive burnout machine, which nobody wants. Nobody wants front wheel drive performance. I mean, if you want that, go get a Honda Civic Type R. But this is a luxury brand. Give us rear wheel drive performance. It's easy to do. Stick a fat electric motor in the back with this plug-in hybrid and give us an NX 550h Plus F Sport performance model. That would be badass. You guys know it would be. Okay, last couple points here. Production is going to start in Japan, and that will be for a few months. I think production starts in September or something like that. So production starts in September. What's Q4? October, November, December, right? So it's probably going to start hitting showrooms in October sometime, maybe late October. And Japan will be producing all of the vehicles initially. Lexus also has an amazing plant in Cambridge, Ontario, where they build the Lexus RX. They build other things there like the RAV4 hybrid as well. And this all new NX has a new assembly line in that Cambridge plant, but we don't know exactly when it's going to be online. I'm expecting by the end of this year, they're going to start producing some NXs out of there. Eventually, all NXs for the North American market will be produced inside America, except for the NX 450h Plus. That will always be produced in Japan, probably alongside the RAV4 Prime as well. So there you have it. Initial supply, probably for the first 6 months, will only be Japanese sourced. And then after that, I would expect nearly all of your NXs that you see on the road to be produced here in North America, which I'm okay with because the quality of the RXs, I don't know, gosh, when did they start making RXs there? Mid 2000s, late 2000s? Anyways, the quality there on the RX is phenomenal. It's world class. So Lexus interface. So the new technology that underpins everything on the inside of the vehicle, you have different screen options. In the vehicle, in the NX, it's only 9.8 inch or 14 inch. But depending on what Lexus vehicle is in, it's going to be 8 inch, 9.8 inch, 12.3 or 14 inch screens. It's way more zippy thanks to a new processor with 5 times more CPU power than the old processor. You might be saying, Kirk, is this going to roll out to all Lexus products? Yes, eventually, but it's also going to roll out to all Toyota products. So this is the first time we're seeing this new technology in a Toyota or Lexus product. Thank God they started with the Lexus NX. You're going to see this in the new Tundra, like 99.9% sure you're going to see this new Lexus interface. They'll just call it Toyota interface because it's the same thing. And they'll just, boom, give it to the Tundra. The Tundra will have probably options of the 8 inch or the 12.3 inch screen, where the 9.8 and 14 inch screens are probably only seen more on the Lexus end. Now this screen is optically bonded. I didn't know what that meant, but I'm glad I know what it means now. I have the LC convertible in the garage right now. It's leaving today. I'm getting a Venza to replace it for review, but the LC 500's screen in the middle of the day is just a glare fest. It's terrible. It was hard for me to get any footage on it. So I'm glad that this screen, this big touch screen, regardless if it's an 8 inch or 14 inch, is going to be optically bonded, no glare, very easy to read all times of the day. Now, there are going to be lots of apps on this new software system for Lexus. Apple Music, Amazon Music is standard. Somebody asked about Spotify. Toyota and Lexus didn't rule that out of the equation. They said, well, we can add apps in the future if there's a demand, if we see fit. So, and I already talked about user profiles. So what do I think about the NX? Well, I think it's amazing. The looks are great. It has all the powertrains we really want and need at this point in time. The software is fixed. They give us better safety. It rides better. It drives better. It's going to handle a hell of a lot better. More power everywhere around, more efficiency, new paint colors. It's better in every single way. And I'm sure you guys have comments down below. I cannot wait to get my hands on this vehicle. All these different, there's 4 different powertrains. I want to drive them all, especially the new turbo and the new hybrid. The plug-in hybrid, I've already driven the RAV4 plug-in hybrid prime, so I kind of know what to expect there. But I'm excited for this new variant of this hybrid system because this is going to be the volume seller. I think it's by 2025, Lexus will be selling more electrified models than non-electrified models. So this vehicle, the NX350, is going to be very, very important for them, as well as this plug-in hybrid for certain markets. Certain markets in Europe are only going to be getting this plug-in hybrid, not even the standard hybrid, and then forget about these engines over here. They might put a 2-liter like NX 200 in there for certain markets. I think they are. Actually, I know they are, now that I'm thinking about it. I think this is an NX 200 for probably China and Japan, where they put the M20A engine. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, 169 horsepower in an NX. So that's not coming for America. Your lowest option is 203 horsepower. But guys, I'll end it there. So excited for a new NX. It's much needed. And this is the biggest leap for Lexus since the original LS400. Exciting times to be a Lexus fan, wouldn't you say? I'll catch you in the next video.